Yes, greetings in the best of salutations. There be prayer, power, peace, prosperity, and patience. I go beyond race in my expression and in my study, class, gender, religion, politics, economics, and education. I was reading something as it pertains to applying the teachings of Imam Muhammad by a brother named Mubashir or Mubashir. The rise of the new convert to Islam. February 2006, convert or revert. Something that he had written from what he had learned or gathered from Imam Muhammad. Who is born here in America. His father was Elijah Muhammad, mother Clara Muhammad. His father was the leader, teacher, and guide of the organization in America called the Nation of Islam, which Elijah Muhammad got his understanding and teaching and learning from a brother by the name of Farad Muhammad. Some called him Master Farad Muhammad. Some would just leave it at that. I say that in that regards is not to create any chasm, any strife. But we must bridge the gap, break any barriers that prevent us from establishing first the human person and evolving into maturity and adulthood and the development of the intellect and bringing out the best of one's humanity. I think Buddha said all that we are is a result of thought. Thought is also a word that is associated with Greek and Kemet, Jehuti, And I realize that every thought begins with a seed. In this particular chapter in the book, states that there is a growing trend in Muslim communities to speak of new converts to Al-Islam as reverts to Al-Islam, meaning the word revert is the act of returning to a previous state. State for me is a condition, you can best diagnose any individual by the condition of the circumstances in which they come out of. Or the circumstances of those conditions, either or. I always get them, but they are inexchangeable to me. Here we have United States in America, united energies really coming together as positive and negative, and the prefix for positive is pause, to have access to, excuse me, and the prefix for negative is to negate access to the flow and blockages. And currency is energy. Yes. Unity. Yes. It is returning to a previous state. In this sense, is the word is used by Muslims. For me, word represents integrity. That's your word. There's three things that put people in slavery. You break your word, usurp authority, and usury. I always say I'm trying to go back to the essence of my nature. Yes. And reconciling my differences with myself as well as with others. And to be at peace with myself on that process. If I may use that word. This language, the language stems from the Quranic idea that we are all born Muslims, and in our family or society makes us Christian, Jew, or other. When the individual changes direction and declares themselves Muslim, they are viewed as consciously reverting to their original nature, the nature of the newborn baby, which is Muslim. Hence the meaning of the Christian expression, accept Christ as your personal Savior and be born again. Newborn baby, fragile, very soft, needs to be nurtured and cared for. You can learn a lot from a baby in their evolving process until they learn to speak and accomplishment of doing things and being able to stand on their own 2 feet, their own conviction. Christ for me is a state of consciousness through development. Christ is a state of development through the process of spiritual consciousness. And out of understanding comes consciousness. Remember, the word is, for me, as I said, hence the meaning of Christian expression. It's an expression, which means that studying the facts and connecting the dots and bringing closure and not creating a chasm of strife, that which we make mockery of ourselves by quarreling over things that what doesn't help to solidify our bond and development of our intellect and bringing out the best of our humanity. Personal is a theistic. You take it personal. Atheists don't take that personal when it comes to the concept of the term as expressed as an expression called God. Yes. Let's be clear with that one too. Excuse me. And realize that a person in the Latin sense is that through which sound is made. Before there is motion, there is sound. Savior is to open up. When light hits a lotus plant, it opens up. Yes. However, it should be noted that the word revert carries a negative connotation, implied meaning that the reversion is a nature to a lower or inferior state. I realize that in the metaphysical term, the word superiority and inferiority. Superiority means one that is friendly, and inferiority means one that is unfriendly. So, an unfriendly, an inferior state is to be unfriendly, kind, generous, caring, respectful, and very, yes, in regards to one interacting with one another in a civil and a humane way, which means one is want to be, instead of uncultivated, be cultivated, instead of unrefined, refined, instead of being wild, just be, as much as I do not like to use the word be, self-control. I wanted to use the word tame, but yes. So the word regress, because the struggle for me is two, progression versus regression. Go backwards. And that's when people look at the word, God. The opposite of that is dog. And the opposite of live, spelled the other way, is evil. Anytime you take things out of its natural form or natural state, that's not spiritual. And take things out of its natural habitat, that's evil. You want something for nothing too, that's considered to be evil. But no, these are considered to be, could be considered to, these expressions that I'm saying could be considered as standards that I have come to learn to know that could possibly satisfy my intellect, intellectual satisfaction. And there could be, one could be seen as a very vulgar term, but associated with intellectual, well, I just leave it at that without using that word, that term or expression. So what we are saying is that our reversion from Christianity or some other religion to our Islam is a return to something that is inferior. That we look at the society maybe in which we are living in, if we have not developed our intellect and our humanity in the best of ways, instead of progression, we are regression. Yes. Thus, we must be mindful of the subtleties of the terminology we choose to adapt, particularly if the term is going to become an important part of the language or slogans we use. I think Jamel Alameen talking about is enough of slogan sayings, We need programs that help people. If they have a social program, we need social programs. If there is a poverty program, we need poverty programs. Amos Wilson would say the same thing. Whatever it is that is affecting us, we need to create a program to counteract that. I think in the civil rights movement, they was talking about the poverty program, Operation Red Basket. There's that, demands were placed on stores and other establishments, businesses or otherwise, to put back in or hire people that would help give them, a certain value, a sense of dignity and stability in life. Yes. And it's required even for certain stores in certain communities to put back in the community that will help improve the conditions of the community, of the area, in the lives of the people who live in the communities. Yes. It may be argued that we can define this word for ourselves and not let others define things for us. Possibly talking about the Muslim community for this particular piece of expression that is shared here. And not let others define things for us. He or she, I always say he or she has the power to define, is able to dictate. But this is what the brothers and sisters on the streets have done with the word, the N-word. Do we think it's okay to use it because some of our people have redefined it for us? I must tell you that many from the Black Power and Civil Rights generation use the word too freely and casually, and thus set bad examples for the next generations. Do we believe words make people? It's a question. There's a saying that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Words do hurt. Yes. This expression goes on to say, in its writing, it's a personal one. It says that I choose not to use this term primarily because I am unaware of its negative connotation. In addition, I do not know how the trend got started, and wherever I can, I want to avoid participating in self-mockery. Yes, it is good that we learn not to make mockery of ourselves and not incriminate ourselves, and not use words that oppress us. I believe Angela Davis spoke of that as well, incriminating words that, oppress us, by embracing something that might be from the one who whispers and withdraws. Islam, the whispers of Shaitan. Yes. However, the purpose of this article is not to persuade anyone to abandon the use of the term revert. Returning to our original Muslim nature is a requirement for growth in our Islam, and I understand the intent of the expression. In fact, the idea has its own charm. Yes, do not want to be charmed either. We're very seductive and seduced into something that it creates hurt, harm, and danger that does not help to develop the intellect and bring out the best of one's humanity, because character is the outgrowth of one's humanity. Yes, and Sister Ani will associate that with culture hegemony. This is the humanity that I'm giving to the world. Yes, but may our word speak louder than our, yes. It's about it's not what we say, it's what we do. They must measure up, yes. In addition to that, in closing, nevertheless, returning to the baby state, not in a state really of, I would like to say a state of confusion or uncertainty, but a baby is very curious, has a scientific mind at a young age, discover things, accomplish things on his own, and that gives that baby a sense of dignity and self-satisfaction. Albeit the original pure and necessary is not the final destination. I'll repeat this. Nevertheless, returning to the baby state, albeit original pure and necessary, is not the final destination of our goal of one's acceptance of our Islam. The origin of a thing is never its final destination or highest form, just as laying the foundation of a house is not equal to its final construction. So may we learn to come together, as Nina Fuller would say, to give each other constructive value, Yes, the purpose of coming together, as Nina Fuller would say, who wrote the book Compensatory Code, when it deals with white supremacy, racism. We know that there is nothing black or white. It's been applied to people. May we learn to deal with things that are not conceptual. Just deal with things that are factual. And do our best to support in the best of ways the development of our intellect and bringing out the best of our humanity, one with and for another. And even if it calls you to disengage for a minute in a time and sit back and take a panoramic view and strive and process all that is transpiring and going on in your environment and in your life, and tapping into the best of what you have to offer when it comes to realizing that resiliency is the author of success. So the authority in which one speaks from, or I speak from, is resiliency. So as I continue to promote the value of self-worth.